Son, daughter, peace be with you. I am here speaking to you as one who walks beside you, not above you. I hear your heart, and I know the weight you have been carrying. So I need to tell you, with love and truth, when God chooses someone, life does not become lighter, it becomes more meaningful. And meaning many times comes with weight. Being chosen is not a comfortable upgrade, not a prize that places you above others. It is a calling that summons you to greater responsibility, greater awareness, greater consistency between what you believe and how you live. When the Father sets you apart, He does not spoil you. He sends you. He reorganizes your identity on the inside before any visible change on the outside. When Peter wrote that you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a people set apart to proclaim God's virtues, he was speaking about purpose, not status. Being called into the light also means leaving shadows behind. It means letting go of old answers, old behaviors, old excuses. The calling reaches the places where you once hid. And when I said that to whom much is given, much will be required, I did not speak as a threat, but as preparation. Because whoever receives more light begins to see more clearly, and whoever sees more clearly can no longer live as before. The weight you feel is not punishment. It is spiritual awareness awakening. Perhaps you have thought, before I took God seriously, everything felt simpler. I know. That earlier simplicity was often unconsciousness. Now the Father is calling you into maturity. He calls you to love when it would be easier to ignore, to forgive when pride screams, to choose what is right even when no one is watching. That is tiring, I know, but it is also building you. Look at your life today and notice where God has been calling you into responsibility. It may be in how you speak to those you love, in how you handle your commitments, in your ethics when no one is checking, or in the courage to say no to what pulls you away from purpose. The calling does not begin on big stages. It begins in invisible decisions. Do not fear the weight of the calling. It only rests on those who have been considered capable of carrying it with the Father's help. And remember, you are not carrying it alone. I am with you every day, sustaining your steps as you learn to walk in maturity. Today, as a simple exercise, choose one concrete act of spiritual responsibility. Keep a word you gave. Act with honesty where it would be easy to omit the truth, or set aside a few minutes in silence to listen to the Father. Small acts build great callings, son, daughter. Love is the way, but true love always transforms the one who loves. Son, daughter. I want to go a little deeper into this calling that feels heavy, because I know your heart needs to understand without fear. When the Father chooses you, He also trusts you. And divine trust is not light, because it recognizes potential, where you sometimes see only fragility. God sees beyond your today. He sees who you can become when you allow yourself to be shaped. That is why calling does not mix with superficiality. It demands truth, consistency, and daily surrender. Maybe you feel that now you can no longer pretend. You can no longer blend in like before. You can no longer laugh at things that once seemed normal. This is a sign of growth, not loss. Spiritual sensitivity increases, and with it comes the weight of more conscious choices. You begin to feel what you once ignored. It hurts, but it also protects your soul. Do not blame yourself for feeling this weight. Learn to carry it with me. I said my yoke is easy because it is shared. The burden only becomes unbearable when you try to live the calling without intimacy with the Father. Come closer. Talk to Him as one speaks to a tired friend at the end of the day. Tonight, before you sleep, do something simple. Thank Him for the calling, even without fully understanding it. Gratitude opens space for inner rest, and when rest comes, the weight turns into purpose. I am here. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I know this is one of the most sensitive points of your heart, because separation hurts. It hurts when people drift away, when environments stop making sense, when what was familiar no longer sustains who you are becoming. But listen to me calmly. This is not abandonment. This is pruning. The Father never cuts out of cruelty, He cuts out of love and for the future. Just as the vine is pruned to bear more fruit, your life goes through adjustments that feel like losses, but are, in fact, preparation. When something is removed, it is not because it failed, but because it has already fulfilled its purpose in that season. God distances to draw closer. He removes external supports to strengthen the inner root. Abraham had to leave familiar land before living the promise. It was not punishment, it was direction. What is familiar comforts, but it also limits when the time for the new to be born arrives. Many times what you call loneliness is what God calls encounter. Encounter with yourself, encounter with Him. I know silence is frightening. The absence of familiar voices creates insecurity and makes you question whether you are still on the right path. But it is in silence that the Father speaks most clearly. When distractions decrease, identity grows stronger. Separation reveals who you are when no one validates you. And this does not weaken you. It frees you. Perhaps today you ask, why do I feel out of place? Why don't I fit anymore? Because you are growing, and growth requires space. The Father is creating that space within you. He is removing emotional crutches, unhealthy attachments, and false securities so that your fruit will be deep, not fragile. Do not resist this season. Use it. Instead of blaming yourself, be still. Instead of running, pray. Instead of distracting yourself, listen. Even if only for a few minutes, turn your heart to the Father and say, "Teach me what this season is meant to form in me." This simple prayer changes everything. If you love God, even when you do not understand the process, write Amen in the comments, not as a ritual, but as an act of trust from your heart. A practice for today. Reduce the noise. Less comparison, less rush, less distraction. Use this space to write what you have been feeling or to talk to me in sincere prayer. You do not need beautiful words. You need truth. Son, daughter, I did not leave you alone. I simply brought you closer. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I am still here, walking beside you, even when the ground feels too tight for your steps. I want to talk to you about pressure, because I know it has been constant. There are days when you wake up already tired, not in your body but in your soul. Everything seems to demand more patience, more faith, more maturity. And then the silent question appears, why is this so hard? Listen carefully. Not all pressure is a sign of defeat. Many times it is a sign of formation. The Father uses pressure to reveal what He Himself placed inside you. Just as grapes only reveal their wine when pressed, faith matures when it is tested. Difficulties expose hidden dependencies, strengthen perseverance, and purify intentions. It is not punishment, it is growth. When James said that you should consider it pure joy to face trials, he was not romanticizing pain. He was revealing the process. Testing produces perseverance, and perseverance produces complete maturity. The Father is leading you to a firmer, more stable, deeper place. He does not want a fragile faith that depends on circumstances. He wants a rooted faith that remains even when everything shakes. I know that under pressure, emotions rise to the surface. Old fears reappear, insecurities shout. But observe this without condemnation. Pressure reveals not to shame, but to heal. What is surfacing now can finally be treated. The Father works in layers you would never access without this tight place. And remember, tribulation does not end in itself. Paul taught that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. Notice this. Hope is not born in comfort. It is born in the journey. A hope that does not disappoint because it has been tested. Today, when you feel the pressure increase, do not react impulsively. Do something simple. Pause for a few seconds. Breathe deeply and say in your heart, "Father, what do you want to form in me here?" This question shifts your posture from victim to learner. and those who learn grow. Another practice for today: identify one reaction that always shows up when pressure comes: irritation, excessive silence, control, escape. Observe it without judgment and surrender it in prayer. This act of awareness is already part of the healing. Son, daughter, the pressure around you is not greater than the grace that sustains you. The Father would not allow this process if He did not know you could walk through it with Him. Son, daughter, I want to add something your heart needs to hold on to. Pressure does not define your end, it only reveals your process. Do not interpret this season as delay, but as the Father's investment in you. What feels heavy today is strengthening your inner structure so that tomorrow you will not collapse under greater responsibilities. Trust. Even when you do not notice it, something is being adjusted within you. The Father does not waste pain, silence, or struggle. Everything is working together to make you whole, not hardened. Remain. Pressure passes, but what is born from it remains. I am here. Do not rush. Do not give up. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I am still here, speaking to you calmly, because this part of the journey is decisive. Before the Father changes the scene around you, He changes the way you see. Many times you ask for external change, but God works first on the inside, where the choices that sustain any lasting transformation are born. If He changed everything outside without renewing you within, the new scene would not last. There comes a time when old definitions no longer serve you. What you once called success no longer satisfies. What once felt like victory now feels empty. And what you once called failure begins to reveal deep lessons. This is not confusion. It is renewal of the mind. It is God teaching you to see through the eyes of the kingdom, no longer through the filters of the world. Paul said that you are transformed by the renewal of your mind. Notice, it is not adaptation, it is transformation. A renewed mind begins to interpret losses as processes, waiting as preparation, and changes as direction. You begin to understand that identity does not come from what you do, but from who you are in God. Perhaps today the scene is still the same, but something inside you has already changed. You react differently, feel differently, choose differently. This is a sign of progress. Do not despise this invisible growth. It is the foundation of what will come next. But there is a challenge here. Abandoning old patterns of thought requires vigilance. Thoughts of comparison, self-sabotage, excessive guilt, and fear insist on returning. When they come, do not embrace them. Question them. Ask, does this thought draw me closer to or farther from the Father's truth? This simple practice protects your mind. Today, consciously choose to renew the way you think. It may be by writing biblical truths, praying when fear arises, or replacing inner criticism with words of grace. Small daily choices build a firm mind. And let me tell you something with love. You are no longer who you were. Even if the environment does not yet reflect it, heaven already recognizes this transformation. The Father is never late. He simply prepares better than you imagine. If this inner transformation has been speaking to you, share in the comments what has changed in the way you see yourself, life, or God during this process. Sometimes, when you name what is happening inside you, the heart finds order and faith grows stronger. Son, daughter, trust the process. The change has already begun within you. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I remain here, because what is being formed now will sustain everything that comes later. There is a season when almost nothing seems to be happening on the outside, and this unsettles your heart. You look around and see no recognition, no visible progress, no applause. But listen to me with tenderness. The Father works with depth, not haste. Before the public comes the hidden. Before the voice is heard, the heart must be tuned. I taught that the Father sees what is done in secret. He sees faithfulness when no one is watching, honesty when no one is checking, gentleness when no one applauds. This silent season is not a pause, it is training. It is here that character is shaped, intention is purified, and motivation is aligned with love. In the hidden place, God observes how you respond to correction, how you manage your time, how you serve without return, how you love without guarantees of reciprocity. All of this forms a foundation that supports greater responsibilities. Those who do not learn to be faithful in little things get lost when much is given. That is why the Father protects you, keeping you away from the spotlight while strengthening your inner structure. Perhaps you wonder if you are being forgotten. You are not. You are being prepared. I myself lived years in anonymity before any public manifestation. Silence was a school. Simplicity was a foundation. Nothing was wasted. This season also reveals something important. Who are you living for, applause or obedience? When no one is watching, the heart shows what it truly is. And the Father prefers to work with a sincere heart rather than impressive talents. Today, I want to invite you into something simple and profound. Do good without announcing it. Serve without counting it. Pray without posting it. Love without expecting return. Allow your reward to come from the Father, not from human validation. This heals the anxiety for recognition and strengthens your identity. If discouragement tries to convince you that the hidden place is not worth it, remember, deep roots grow far from the surface, and the deeper they go, the firmer they stand in storms. What is being formed now in silence will sustain your life when the noise comes. Son, daughter, remain faithful. The Father sees, and those who are seen by Him are never forgotten. Peace be with you. I keep walking with you because now the calling begins to touch places even deeper in your heart. There comes a moment in the journey when obedience stops being generic and becomes personal. In the beginning, you obey broad principles: love, forgive, trust. But over time, the Father begins to speak more directly, more specifically, more intimately. He does not do this to pressure you, but to deepen your relationship with Him. Obedience becomes a language of love. I said that whoever loves me keeps my commandments. I was not speaking of perfection, but of willingness. The Father does not require you to understand everything before you obey. He asks you to trust. Abraham went out without knowing where he was going because he knew who was guiding him. Trust came before explanation. Maybe today God is asking something that looks small to others but feels big to you. A difficult conversation, a necessary boundary, a step of faith, a quiet surrender. These specific requests stretch your faith because they pull you out of the zone of control, and that is exactly where trust deepens. I know that creates fear. Your heart asks, what if I get it wrong? What if I lose something? But listen to me with love. Obeying never takes you away from the Father. Even when you cannot see the full path, every obedient step is already direction. Obedience does not erase fear, but it refuses to let fear rule. There is also something important I need to tell you. God does not compare your obedience to anyone else's. What He asks of you may not be what He asks of another. So do not compare yourself. The calling is personal because the relationship is personal. The Father knows your story, your wounds, your emotional structure. He knows how far He can lead you in each season. Today, do something simple and deep. Ask the Father sincerely, what step are you asking of me right now? Not tomorrow, not when everything is clear. Right now. Then listen. The answer may come as a gentle conviction, a persistent discomfort, or an unexpected peace. Trust it, and take the step. The practice for today is clear. Obey in something concrete. Even if it feels small, do it. Obedience opens invisible paths and aligns the heart with heaven. And remember, every yes given in love strengthens your intimacy with God. Son, daughter, I want to stay with you a little longer here, because obedience also heals old wounds you do not always notice. Many times the fear of obeying comes from past experiences where trusting brought pain. But the Father does not ask for obedience to control you. He calls you to protect you. Every direction from Him carries care, even when it does not feel comfortable. What God asks is never to shrink you, but to align you with who you are becoming. There are blessings that only reveal themselves after the step is taken, not before. Obedience comes before understanding, and when you obey, something inside you begins to come into order. Anxiety lowers, guilt loses its grip, and peace starts to take up space. Not because everything gets resolved, but because you have rested your heart in God. Today, if you feel resistance inside you, do not condemn yourself. Bring that resistance to the Father and say, "Help me trust." This simple prayer is obedience in the form of humility. I am with you in every step. Peace be with you. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I remain with you because now we touch a place many avoid, but the Father uses with wisdom. Weakness. I know you wish you were stronger, more secure, more settled. I know that in silence you ask God to remove certain limitations, fears, emotional fragilities, or marks from the past. But listen to me with love. Not every weakness is an obstacle. Many times, it is a platform. Paul heard from the Father that power is made perfect in weakness, not because weakness is good in itself, but because it keeps you from confusing the source of strength. When everything seems to depend on you, the heart fills with control. When you recognize you cannot do it alone, dependence becomes a pathway into intimacy. God does not remove every limitation, because some of them keep your heart aligned. They remind you to pray, to ask for help, to remain humble, to not move forward without direction. Weakness keeps you from living a self-sufficient faith. And self-sufficient faith is not faith, it is only human effort. Maybe you have compared yourself to others and thought, if I were more confident, if I had less fear, if I were stronger. But the Father did not choose you in spite of your weakness. He chose you knowing it, and He knows exactly how to display His glory through it. God chooses what is weak so that no one can boast before Him. This does not humiliate you, it protects you. So when something begins to bloom in your life, it becomes clear to you and to others that it was not merely human ability, but grace in action. Today, instead of fighting your fragility, acknowledge it before the Father. Say, "Here, I can't do it on my own." This confession does not diminish you. It creates space for God's power to move without confusion about who gets the credit. A simple practice for today: identify one area where you always try to compensate for weakness with control or perfectionism. Loosen your grip a little. Pray before you act. Trust before you prove. Rest more than you fight. Son, daughter, the Father does not pull away from your weakness. He draws near to it with grace. Stay with me a little longer. Son, daughter, peace be with you. We have walked a long way to get here, and now your heart can understand something deeper. The calling never ends with you. It begins in you, moves through you, but it always goes beyond you. When the Father chooses someone, He also sends them, not only to distant places, but to what is near, to daily life, to simple relationships where love must be lived in practice. Being sent does not wait until you are ready in everything. It happens while you are learning. I myself sent disciples who were still full of doubts, fears, and imperfections. Growth came on the road. There comes a moment when the calling stops being only about your personal transformation and begins to place weight on your heart for lives. You start noticing pain you used to ignore. Injustice bothers you more. Other people's loneliness touches you. The need to love stops being theory and becomes responsibility. This is a sign of spiritual maturity. When Isaiah said, "Here I am, send me," he did not have all the answers. He had availability. The Father is not looking for flawless spiritual resumes. He is looking for willing hearts. Being sent does not mean carrying the world on your back, but allowing God's love to flow through you in the way you are able today. Maybe you think you still know too little. You still fail too much. You still need more healing. And that is true. But being sent does not wait for perfection, because perfection never comes through your own effort. God sends while He heals, teaches while He walks with you, forms while He uses you. That keeps your heart humble and dependent. Being sent begins with small gestures, a listening ear, a word of encouragement, forgiveness released, a healthy boundary, a simple act of service done with love. Do not despise the small things. The kingdom of God grows like a seed, not like a spectacle. But hold this gently. You are not anyone's savior. The weight of the world does not rest on your shoulders. You are an instrument, not the source. When you try to save, you burn out. When you love and hand it back to the Father, you rest. Learn to serve without taking the place that belongs only to God. Today, do something practical. Ask yourself who God has placed in front of you in this season. Not tomorrow, not later, today. And act with simple love without expecting recognition. That is exactly where being sent begins, where your feet already are. Son, daughter, to be chosen is to be sent, but never alone. I will be with you every day, sustaining your steps as you learn to love beyond yourself. Son, daughter, peace be with you. I know that right now everything feels mixed up inside you. Thoughts, emotions, unanswered questions, paths that are not clear. There are days when you try to organize it all, and you can't. And then the fear comes, that you are wasting time, missing the way, falling behind. Listen with attention and love. Confusion is not a sign of abandonment. Many times it is a sign that God is working deeper than before. Not every confusing season is a wasted season. There are moments when the Father allows old structures to come undone so that new ones can be born. If everything stayed clear all the time, you would trust control more than faith. Confusion reveals where you still depend on visible answers in order to rest. My ways are higher than your ways. That does not mean distance, it means depth. The Father sees connections you cannot see yet. He sees the before, the now, and the after all at once. You see only the now, and even that in a limited way. That is why trusting becomes essential when understanding is not possible. Maybe you are living through separations, delays, unexpected changes, or doors that did not open the way you imagined. Do not conclude failure too quickly. The Father works quietly, behind the scenes of your story. Even what looks like delay may be protecting you from arriving too early at a place you were not ready for. Paul taught that all things work together for the good of those who love God. Notice, all things, the clear and the confusing, what makes sense and what feels contradictory. Nothing is wasted when your heart remains surrendered. The Father does not improvise with your life. There is something important here. Do not try to force clarity where God is asking for trust. Some answers only come after you walk through it. If you try to understand everything before you obey, you freeze. But if you trust and move forward, light begins to appear step by step, like a lamp for your feet, not a spotlight for your entire future. Today, when confusion tightens its grip, do something simple and spiritual. Name in prayer what you do not understand and consciously place it in the Father's hands. Say, I don't understand, but I trust you. That act takes the burden of control out of your hands and returns it to the right place. And remember, confusion does not mean you have regressed. Many times it means you are leaving old levels of thinking and stepping into something new. Growth is not always organized. Sometimes it is uncomfortably honest. If this journey has been speaking to you and you feel you need to keep listening, learning, and growing with me, subscribe so you can follow the next episodes. Some processes only make sense when we walk them out together, step by step. Son, daughter, rest. Even in confusion, God is present, active, and careful. Son, daughter, peace be with you. We have reached this point walking together, and I want you to know, nothing you have lived through up to now has been in vain. The Father does not start something just to abandon it halfway. He finishes what He begins, with care, with faithfulness, and with love. Trusting the process does not mean understanding everything. It means resting even when answers have not come yet. It means stopping comparisons, stopping the habit of measuring your timing by someone else's, and stopping the self-accusation for not being where you thought you would be. Every calling has its rhythm. Every story has its season. The Father is not late. Maybe you still don't see the fruit, but the seed has been planted. Maybe the scene has not changed yet, but you have. And that changes everything. When you trust the Lord with all your heart and do not lean only on your own understanding, He makes your path straight, even the ones that look crooked right now. Moving forward in faith is not rushing. It is taking the next obedient step, just the next one. The future has not been handed to you to carry today. Grace comes in the measure of the day. When you try to live everything at once, you grow weary. When you live one day at a time with me, you find enough strength. Today, the practice is simple and deep. Consciously surrender to the Father what you have been trying to control. It may be a relationship, a decision, a fear, an expectation. Open your hands and say, "I trust you." Repeat it as many times as you need. Faith grows stronger through repeated surrender. And when discouragement tries to convince you that nothing is happening, remember, roots grow in silence. Fruit comes later. Do not abandon the process just because you cannot see the result yet. The Father is more committed to your formation than to your hurry. Son, daughter, I am with you. Today, tomorrow, and to the end. Love is still the way, even when it requires patience. If this message touched your heart and can help someone else who is carrying weight too, like and share it so more lives can be reached and find rest. What was comfort for you can be an answer for someone else.